There we go.
Okay. So I'll be able to see the comments, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there I am. Okay. Oh
There you
man,
go.
we live for real.
Facts.
Oh. We gotta get some pushback for today.
Let's go ahead and start it.
Let's go ahead on and get started.
Get
All right.
into it.
All right. Well, good morning, family. How y'all doing? We know that many of us, you, are headed or are in what's called Easter services, right?
Hmm.
But let's go back to the beginnings of things, right? So let's be very clear. This is really a celebration of nature. This is not a celebration of the re-risen or the resurrection of Christ or the Christ figure. Um, and I'm going to go back to some ancient writers, which I know many people may not have ever heard of or don't know. There's a couple of writers that I want to talk about. One is Godfrey Higgins. He wrote a book called Anacalypsis, the removal of the veil from Isis. And Isis was known as Aset in ancient Kemet,
Hmm.
AST. Isis is a name given to her by the Greeks when they became in power in later dynasties from like the 20th on to the 25th dynasty. She became known as Isis. Haru became known as Horus, and Asur became known as Osiris. And Godfrey Higgins wrote about how these beings, these deities that were worshipped in ancient Kemet, and which they now call Egypt, and ancient Kemet were very important in how the makeup of the people were, right? How they followed this particular cultural ideology. Why they were important? Because that's your original Trinity, which every other tradition copies after that. Every other culture copies that. The first culture that copies it is the so-called Jewish people that were supposedly captured and broke free through being led out of Egypt by Moses. But if you look at the landmass was considered to be Israel, and ancient Egypt or Kemet is exactly they're right next to each other. So if he takes people away from somewhere to go somewhere else, they're not going anywhere because they're right next door to the land in which they already were. Another author who he's even more important than Godfrey Higgins, his name is Gerald Massey. And Gerald Massey was a man whose family was self-made in England, and he is an atheist. And he heard, of course, of ancient Kemet or Egypt at the time, and he wanted to find out what this was more about. He was just intrigued because he heard so much about it.
Hmm.
So he decides that he's going to leave and go explore this place, this place that everybody's talking about and they're excited about, even though they're talking about it in a negative way. Okay. So they're talking about it in a negative way. Now, this is a hardcore, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in none of this other stuff. I don't believe in nothing. All this stuff is
Mm.
out of here. No. So he goes and he spends part of his life studying the ancient ruins. And why were they ruined? Because you have, of course, had the Hyksos people, which later become Arabs, who destroyed the temples. And they were destroying the temples, they were destroying the landmass, they were destroying anything that marked that these were African people. So in doing so, he decides he's going to go and he's going to study as much as he could about this people, this land. So what he does is he goes and he writes 4 or 5 books, right? One is called Book of Beginnings, one is called Natural Genesis, and the other is called Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, right? And in Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, which was the masterpiece that he wrote that really talks about everything that ancient Egypt gave the world, really, literally. He wrote in 2 volumes, and that's almost like 1,100 pages in 2 volumes, because that's how much studying he did. But what it did was it gave him the know that God existed by how he was able to see how they studied nature and used symbology in order to be able to talk about God, right? So we know that the word ray comes from sun ray, but at that time they called him Ra, which was what is this power behind the sun that gives us this light, gives us this, have us have this food, all of these other things, right? So in Natural Genesis, Book of Beginnings, he talks about how these people studied nature and how they used the symbology of what these animals were doing in nature in order to represent different aspects of God. So there were people that, well, they studied many gods, they did this, they did that. No, there's only one God, never a polytheistic ideology, right? So if we look at right now, we got trees that are budding that are going to have flowers and the grass is growing or whatever. That's an aspect of God too, right? Because there's a force that's allowing this to take place. And it was all part of nature. So what they did was they used the symbolism of the falcon who hunts. And when it hunts and uses the sun so that its prey can't see it. Right? So if we remember in the previous cast, right, I showed the Akhenaten, and then on one side of him, Thutmose the third. And on one side of him was the falcon-headed god, and the other side of him was Set, his uncle, right? And there was the balance between being good and being evil, right? Because that's a choice that man has to make every single day. Whether I'm going to be good or whether I'm not going to be good, right? Whether I'm going to do good things for people or whether I'm going to do bad things to people, right? And it's a choice between our higher self, which was Heru, and our lower self, which is Set, right? Our lower self means I get to be decadent and I get to do all of this other stuff where I don't want to, I'm going to eat what I want to. I'm going to eat till I'm full. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a glutton. I'm going to do all these other things, which I know that they're going to have negative impacts on my body, my physicality. But on the other side, I'm going to follow my higher self, which means I'm going to eat only what I need, which, remember, we talked about 42 admonitions of my okay, which says, I have not taken, I have not done these. With these 42 different laws, I don't know how we got to 10. Oh, I know. I broke them on the way down, coming from the mountain, so I couldn't go see the promised land, even though I was already in the promised land. Another version of the story. We'll get to it. So when he sees all this symbolism, he starts to study it. He writes these books. And he writes about how the worship of nature is natural because of what nature gives us. So we're breathing air. That would be Shu. Right? We have, sometimes it rains. That would be another god. The god of the earth is Geb. But it's because the Geb gives us life through the plants that come up in the earth. And those plants can either be something that we can take as medicine, or they can kill us. They can be poisonous. Right? Even water, to the degree that if you take too much of it, you can get water poisoning and die. if you overfill your body with water to the point that it becomes flooded and non-functional, and it can't. All of the excess water can't be released.
Gotta cut that pop loose. Shit.
Well, I mean, not only cut the pop loose because we already know that has chemicals in it that are not healthy for us, but many of the foods that we eat. If people stop and read the labels, and you can't pronounce it, then you shouldn't eat it.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I seen it was a big fuss about that grocery store. I'm not trying to get into no, but we need a grocery store that's going to be sustainable for the people in them areas, not just giving us more reprocessed foods.
Well, I mean, but the other thing is if you're going to have a grocery store that is going to be sustainable to the people, the leadership has to make sure that it's right and proper. Okay, so if you're going to have a grocery store, it's going to have its junk in it because people like junk. People like the little decadent stuff, and it is what it is.
Facts.
Okay, I have an affinity for peanut butter cookies and a donut on occasion. Right. I don't eat it every day, but Facts. I have an affinity for it, right? It's just what it is. But I'll be disciplined enough to say, okay, for the next 21 days, I'm not going to eat them. Yeah, absolutely. That's because I'm now focused more on my higher self than I am my lower self. Now, my lower self is, man, go ahead on and get that donut and just do a little extra workout, and then you'll be straight. No, that's not. Because no. It's not necessary to do that unless I'm trying to gain weight, which would be my excuse to be in my lower self, right? Yeah. Okay. So if we have people that want to be righteous in leading that campaign for us to be able to have food, it cannot be on a leader. It's got to be on people. And people, everything is grassroots, right? And people have to be the one. People have to be the one that demand it, because if I'm more concerned about a bunch of other stuff, which is in my way, than I am about having good, healthy food and having good, healthy food so I can change my lifestyle and change it, then if people are not concerned about it, then they just going to eat whatever because this is what we've been given. And this is the lower self-living.
But everybody going to church this morning.
Bro, you got millions of people in church this morning.
This morning. But yet, we will feed the people reprocessed foods, have a food desert in the community. Can you explain what a food desert is?
Well, a food desert is where you don't have access to sustainable food. And there's nothing like that on the north side. On the north side of town, there's nothing like that. Now, I know that there was a campaign to have a food co-op on the north side. I don't know exactly what's going on with that. But, it's been in the process for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's not open yet. So I don't know what's going on with that and why it's not open. It should be open. It should be open and functional, but it's not. So I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, no, I get you because I'm just saying when they I get it. You know what I'm saying? That's not in Flint. You got to go up in Flushing, on Pearson Road to go to Kroger that way.
Right.
And if you want to go to Myers on the south side, but ain't that Burton?
That's in Burton, right.
On Center Road. So it's because I know people not looking at Mr. B's, but that's a grocery store right there.
Right, that's a grocery store. And the other part about that is you can demand from them what it is that you want to have, that you want to eat. No different than the Great Giant over there on North Saginaw.
Facts.
If you come in there all the time and this is a certain type of food that you want, they're going to provide that for you. Because that's what they do. That's their objective is to provide you with what it is that you want. So the Kroger on North Saginaw is going to be different than the Kroger on Pearson Road in Flushing.
Right.
Because who they catering to.
Right.
Now, you can go out there and get food, but that's not going to stop you from them catering to whoever it is that they want to. We're in Flushing. They cater to a different group of people than the ones in Mount Morris. Right. Or the one on Richfield. They cater to a different group of people.
Right.
Okay. But let's get back to this story, then we're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that.
Gotcha.
Because that's important because this leads us to what we were talking about before, right? Now, so he writes these books, and he's telling everybody that, good morning, family, good morning, good morning, good morning. He's telling everybody that this group of people were so great that they gave all of this information and all of these ideas to the world: science, writing, reading, arithmetic, philosophy, ideologies, building things. And so they kind of tried to ostracize him. But he wrote another book called Historical Jesus, Mythical Christ. And on the cover of this book, the Christ figure has an afro. But also he breaks down what Christ means. And it's not Christ, it's Krst. Because in ancient times, they didn't have those type of the blends of C and H, and they didn't have I, right? So in ancient times, the meaning of his name was Yeshua, the Christ, right? And Christ meaning the perfect black one. And this is in this book. But he also talks about how he was born. So as we're going to have this celebration today, right? So next year, I want you to see when it's going to be next year, right? It's not going to be on the same day, okay? And all the pagan symbolism that goes along with it, the Easter egg, the egg meaning fertility, okay? The rabbit meaning fertility. So this is a fertile time when the earth starts to give life and birth to things for us to enjoy and consume, but not to excess, only to what we need, right? So if you look at the rabbit has a bunch of years between now and June, right? Has 2, 3, 4 litters between now and June, so that makes it a fertile animal. But if you cultivate and care for a bunch of rabbits, you can also have a food source. Okay? And if you keep the pelts, the fur and the pelts, you can also make clothes. So the symbology is bigger than what we're given the idea of, right? But the issue that many people are not paying, we getting ready to come to Constantine, so hold that thought. Hold that thought. Right. And Constantine had nothing to do with this. He had everything to do with taking a church from where it was under duress and moving it to Rome. He didn't have anything to do with the symbolism and the idea. That's pagan idea, but you're right. That's the new one. Okay. So the symbolism is about the newness of what the resurrection of the earth, right? So even the crucifixion, the idea of the crucifixion actually happening is only happens when the idea, and these are ancient writers, so I'm just giving y'all what they gave us because I'm a student, is when the sun crosses the equator at a perfect 90-degree angle, right? At a perfect 90-degree angle and forms the cross. But on the other side of that is the sun. And the symbolism is more of the Ankh than it is a symbol of death. The Ankh is a symbol of life. And if you look at even the symbolism in the movies of the crucifixion, the light behind him, oh, life your need, Mel. How you doing, brother? Love you, man. The symbolism of the sun and all of the stuff that happens with the storm and the death, there's the symbol of the Ankh. Okay, so there's the circle behind him. If we'll find a picture of the Ankh and put it up, or not, we'll do it the next time. There's a symbol of the sun behind him, the sun, sun/son, and the cross. And all those two symbols represent is a man and a woman who are creating life. Okay, only opposite sexual beings can create life. Say it one more time for the people in the back. Only opposite sexual beings can create life. Now, inside of some animals, the snail, and some frog species, do they have both? So depending upon what happens in nature, they can switch, right? They can switch. So if they need more females, then they'll switch and have more female snails. If they have more males, they need more male snails, they'll switch. And once they become pregnant, then they can produce eggs on their own. But those eggs are already fertilized by those eggs are only fertilized by a male snail so that they can have new generations of snails. Right? Now, that's a rare instance in nature. But nature, because of man's, especially European, who want to have domination. And it's one thing to be in dominion, but it's another thing to destroy because you don't understand and you want to control it. That's two different things, right? Even if we look at the good book that people love so much, and it says, I'll give you dominion. That doesn't mean destroy. Man has created more extinct species than nature has.
Facts.
Right?
Heard of the last Mohicans?
Man.
Facts.
All right. Man has created more extinct species that hunted them to death or killed them just because of the sport or whatever. That's not what the word, if we follow the word, that's not what it is. That's not what it means. So now they're doing this genetic stuff and they showing you in the movies what they plan on doing, right?
Right.
Okay. So those of y'all who be like to watch Jurassic Park, pay attention to what they're doing because they're doing this stuff for real. They keep on playing it in movies, but they really, really are trying to do stuff like this for real. Now, back to the story. Okay. So let's go back to this birth, right? So on December 21st, which they consider somewhere around the birth of the Son of God, there again you have perfect day and night. But in ancient times, the constellations didn't stay in power 28 or 30 days. They stayed in power 2,155 years. During the virgin birth, the constellation Virgo was in charge, the virgin. And a new son was born on the 21st. Because the ancient Kemites kept a calendar. And they have a calendar that's 25,860 years old. Because they were able to keep count the length of time that these constellations were in power. No, we're not talking about when he was born. I want you to listen to the idea, okay? I want you to listen to the idea where it comes from because the whole idea is co-opted from another story. This is a stellar story that happens in the stars. So when the new sun is born in the constellation Virgo, it happens in December, according to how they changed the narrative of the calendar with the Gregorian calendar. And for 3 days, the sun So the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, it rises at the same place. And then on the 25th, it moves. So even if we look at it now, and you can really watch it through a telescope or whatever, some very powerful instrument that you can watch, you see it comes up on 22nd, 23rd, 24th, same space. 25th is new because that's when it changes and moves. But the earth, the sun don't change. It's gonna always be in one spot. So what? Oh, the only thing that can move is the earth. So then on the 25th, when there's movement, that's when he's given this day that he was born. But the birth takes place through the sun coming through the legs of the constellation Virgo. And when it comes to the constellation Virgo, it's born. And then on the 25th, when the earth finally moves, now you have this the 25th. That's when it becomes important that he's, quote unquote, this new son is born. The son of God is born. But this is a stellar story. Now, people aren't trying to continue to, as we become more and more aware of God in our intelligence, as we become smarter, you can't sit around and expect people to watch constellations for 2,155 years to see when they're going to change. So now you go by a new calendar, which is one by the sun. Okay? So they changed that calendar from 2,155 years to a 360-day calendar. But they knew that over a period of years, this is ancient Kemetic science, they knew over a period of years that the sun and the sun cycle and the stellar cycle were off. So they had to add some time. They added 5 days, which gave us 365. And those 5 days were the days born when the gods were born. Right? So you had Asur, you said Osiris, for y'all that don't know, Asur or Isis, Set, I want to say Geb and Nut. It was like 5 of them. I don't remember exactly who they are. But those 5 days gave us more days. They aligned the stellar calendar with the solar calendar. Okay? Now they still found out that they were off. So what did they do? They added another every 4 years. What we got? Leap year. Yep. So this is ancient Kemetic science. This is not no new European ideology. This is not Julius Caesar. It's not Gregory. It's not none of that. This is ancient Kemetic science, right? So now, the calendar still, we had to make some changes. So now the influence of Islam comes in. So Islam, their calendar is based upon the moon cycle. Every 28 days. Now, if you look at the calendar of the moon cycle and you look at the calendar of a woman's cycle, they coincide. So now everything we based upon the lunar, because it's 28 days, right? We have a waxing cycle and a waning cycle, a new moon, whatever all of that other stuff is, right? And those calendars coincide along with the cycle of a woman. So now even Ramadan moves and Easter moves. Now I know I'm giving y'all thousands of years of history and knowledge all in a small period of time. And I understand all of the other stuff that y'all are talking about, but I'm not talking on those facts. I'm talking about ancient facts. Y'all got to go read the stuff I've read in order for you to understand where I'm coming from. But one point that somebody made in June, right? In June, if you look at the cycle of when harvest takes place in Africa, June 1st is the new year. And it's the harvest of the yam in many places, especially in Yoruba land. It's the harvest of the yam. And they have a big celebration. And then in that new year, they do like many other traditional cultures, and they see what God is going to have in store for us for that year. Okay. Most of us don't follow that because we've been told to follow some other ideology. So we're not we're clueless of this other stuff, right? So I know that people, you got to go read the people that I'm talking about. Like, I'm not talking about other people that have never read these people, because most people have never heard of Gerald Massey. Most people have never heard of um, Godfrey Higgins or C.F. Volney, who also talks about this very same thing. C.F. Volney wrote a book back in the 1700s, and this is before Gerald Massey, called The Ruins of Empires. We was talking about these sable-haired people that gave everything to the world as well, and that was before Gerald Massey wrote what he wrote. Volney was from France, and he too was, before Napoleon went over there and destroyed many
Shot the noses off.
noses off the monuments so that they couldn't tell that they were African people and they were black. He went over there and before then, and he started to write this information. And when it came to the head of the government in France, that's when Napoleon goes over to Egypt and shoots a cannon and knocks the noses off. And if they could have, they would have stole the pyramids and everything else, and that would have been all in these museums that they tell us we can't go to or whatever. Good morning, family. How y'all doing? Oh, we in Dade County. All right, we all in there, and we all are down in Miami. And then 305. That's what's up. So now somebody mentioned Constantine and the Council of Nicaea. Now I'm jumping back and forth, so y'all got to follow the connection. The Council of Nicaea that takes place in 324, 325 AD. Constantine wants to consolidate power. Now at this particular time, Kemet is no longer the powerful entity that it was. It had been destroyed, right? All civilizations go through cycles. So let's be very clear. The empire, the rising sun ain't going to last forever. The British Empire not going to last forever. We see the crumbling vestiges of all of it. So they all go through cycles and they all fall. Even ancient Kemet. But what ancient Kemet did, because they weren't going to war inside, they were able to go out and really populate a lot of the world, okay, and teach a lot of the world. The Stonehenge statues in England are the Druids did it. Well, who do you think the Druids were? If you go to Easter Island and you see the monoliths in Easter Island, and they're looking up from where they're looking up at is they're looking up to where they come from, not in the sky. So let's not get that twisted. They're looking up from where they come from. Like I believe we talked before about how the Colossus and what they call the Colossus, the ancient statues in Kemet are looking up. But people, what are they looking up in the stars because we came from outer space? No, they're looking up because the elevation is the beginning of the Nile and the beginning of where they come from. They're actually paying homage to where the people come from. As they come up the Nile, they become more and more intelligent. They have plentiful food. There's plentiful, everything's. We ain't got to fight nobody. So we can develop these ideas of civilization and nation states along the Nile and everything else coming from ancient Kush, Nubia to ancient Kemet, because we're not fighting. Who we fighting? Nobody, because ain't nobody around but us. And the only time the pharaoh Takara comes from ancient Nubia is to put ancient Kemet back together again and drive out the Hyksos. And he was a Nubian pharaoh. Right? So with Constantine, what he does is he gathers these religious leaders, right? Spiritual and religious leaders, and he wants to have a discussion with them. He wants to understand this idea, this ideology, and he wants to take this ideology back to and learn about it. But meanwhile, he had a plan because there's many invaders were repelled, right? Because even when we talked about before, I think it may have been I was talking with Brother Eupert, is that even in the 1400s, Europeans only could occupy bits and pieces of the coastline. They didn't control the whole continent until 1884, 1885. So before then, in the Council of Nicaea, he gathers these people, he writes an invitation, gathers these people, and he wants to have a discussion with them about what this religion that he wants to create is, right? So they talk, and they're like, no, we're not going to let what we've been given by God go over there with you and whatever. So what he does is he has his army come in and he starts to kill people. And he keeps killing them, and he keeps asking them, "I want to give up this religion." Nope. No, okay, well, kill a few more people in horrible ways while everybody's watching, right? So eventually, it gets down to the last 8 or 9 religious leaders, or cultural leaders, or spiritual leaders, and they finally acquiesce to giving them the information and the documentation, and then he kills them anyway. 2,500 people. This is the Council of Nicaea, 325 AD. Then he takes this information back, and he sees too much Africanity in it. Too many African people. Too much this stuff being African. So he takes out what he wants, takes the rule back to Rome, and says, this is now how we're going to worship. So the Vatican City, is one of the richest, most powerful cities in the country, in the world, I'm sorry, because Catholic people send their money over there and everybody else, and they'll take whatever they want, and they always have.
I mean, well, yeah, when you do that, I mean, even if you go to the Catholic Church, you see who they bow down to, they pray to. It's a Black Madonna.
Right.
I mean, you know, I think it's just here that we have this problem when you got, I say in the Western Hemisphere, when you got into this thing about what color Jesus was. Because, you know, I was looking at some of that. Because, like today, a lot of people, because we got to make the math do the math. If Jesus died on Friday, Friday to Sunday is not 3 days. Because you got to look at what time he died. Say he died at 2 o'clock on Friday. 2 o'clock on Friday to 2 o'clock on Saturday is what?
It's a day.
1 day. Because he had to die at some time. So if we go from 2 o'clock on Saturday and we got to go to 2 o'clock on Sunday, that's 2 days.
Okay.
So did he die in March or did he die in April? Because, you know, it switches up.
Well, they do that based upon when the fertile time of the year is.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying right there. You can see where when they're saying 3 days, that's not 3 days.
Well, but see, the other part about that is people just want you to believe.
Facts.
And they don't want you to question. And part of the issue that many of us have, me, is I'm always questioning. And a lot of it doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, why? Well, you're supposed to believe with it wholeheartedly, in your heart and your spirit, and never question it. That's foolish.
Yeah, and I agree with you with that because I know today they finna be in there. The pastor said this, pastor said that, but it's like, let's just go with Genesis. Now we know the Bible 6,000 years old. That's what it's supposed to be. 6,000 years old. But we know life is. Even if you say 50,000, let's just say 50,000. We know life go back farther than that.
Well, but see, they don't. But the issue with that is, then if you talk about that type of life, then you have to give credit to African people because no other group of people were around but that long ago.
Yeah, I mean, because what was the bones they found? Was it Lucy, was
Yeah,
a lady?
yeah.
Go back 2 million years, right?
Right. 3.8 million years.
Okay, 3.8 million
Right.
years, right? Don't you know she had a mother and father?
Well, they had to. Right.
See, now here we even go with this new one. Said he didn't die on Friday. He died on Wednesday. The old Sabbath is on Saturday. But that's what I'm saying. We got so many. They done mixed it up that even the church is confused.
So no, they're not. No, they're not confused. Okay,
Okay.
let's move a little bit forward now.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. There's a book that I have was written in 1953 by this man called his name, I don't remember his name, but it's called History of the Modern World. And he talks about how the Church of England created two groups of people that decided that they were no longer going to live according to the Henry VIII or whoever was the head of the Church of England. Because at that time it wasn't a priest or whatever. It was the king was the head of the church. And he was doing all kind of crazy stuff against the church anyway and against people. So he wasn't following anything that was supposed to be godlike. So you have two groups that come out of it, the Methodists and the Protestants. The Protestants were people that protested what he was doing, and the Methodists followed an older method, or older methodology, ideology. So when they didn't get what they want to, and he refused to change anything, they decided they was going to leave the church and start new ideas. So the most prominent church, one of the most prominent churches or church ideals that started here was the Methodist Church. Oh, we're not even talking about the book, bro. Hold on. I want to come. No, we're not. Nope. Let me stay where I'm at. I want you to come back the next time, and we're going to talk about the book of Enoch. So that's a whole nother deal right there. Let's just stay on this first. Oh, bro. Okay, let me give a real quick idea about the book of Enoch, real quick, and then we're going to go back to what we were talking about. The book of Enoch is pulled out. He's mentioned in the Bible, but he's pulled out of the Bible because Enoch, the Ethiopian, and that's the title of the book. It's called the book of Enoch, the Ethiopian. And the book of Enoch, he goes back in his dreams and he challenges Adam as to why he allowed things to happen, and it was his fault. The reason why things got out of order and not Eve's. And he gets on Adam and he chastises Adam in his dreams because he can dream travel. And he goes back and tells Adam that he's out of order. The reason why the white man blames Eve is because they know that Eve, the mitochondrial Eve, the female African Eve, that all African women have in their DNA is really the first one from God. But you can't make her the first class citizen. You have to subjugate and subdue her because man's nature is to desire her and control her. And that's the reason why women became second class citizens, is because she was first. And the writers or recreators of the Bible really were very, very clear about that. So they put out 66 other books. Right? There's a book out, if you can find it, called The Lost Books of the Bible and Forgotten Books of Eden. And I got a version that came out in the 60s. And there's 66 other books in there. And those 66 other books, and the 66 other books talk about things that were pulled out of the Bible, because it shouldn't be just 66 books. It's 132 books. 66, 66 is what? Whatever the number is. My math ain't. Yeah, we'll get on. We'll get on. We'll talk about that a little bit more. The Book of Enoch. But there were 32. There were 66 other books that were pulled out because the church now in Rome wanted to control the narrative of people so they could control the narrative of the people.
Because they couldn't control. Rome was not going to be able to control with their army no more.
Right.
So remember, Constantine woke up and he had a dream, a vision. He was going to conquer through with that. It was the cross.
Yep, it was easier to conquer. And how did they conquer? They conquered through giving people the Bible, and either you believe it or you die.
Mm-hmm.
No different than what they did in Islam. You either believe in the Quran or you die. It was the same thing. It wasn't. They created the idea of jihad on people because you were infidel and you did not believe in what Muhammad said. It's the same thing. The Crusades and the conquistadors, same stuff. It's the same idea.
Yeah, but we talking about one other people because when you say in Islam, it might came a time. See, a lot of time we get, as a people, I'm saying us, we get caught up in it because we look at it when Arabs got it. Let's stop that. Islam did not stop with Arabs. We got to stop that right now. Let's stop that because a lot of times we be preaching because we see our own that you will see that become, because during them times, peace and blessings on Prophet Muhammad was no Sunnis, was no Shiites, wasn't none of that. It was just Islam. That's like now when you got this church, there's so many people go off we don't really know. And we just going by what we think we know. Even with some of the scholars that's giving us some of the stuff, you have to do research.
Right, absolutely. You always have to do research.
So you know what I'm saying? We got to go and put it in proper perspective when it did like the Crusades. Who did the Crusades? Who did this? Because when we saying when we cast that on Islam did that you mean all of them. That's just like a lot of people might think Islam came with the Arabs. It did not. Let's stop that notion. Let's kill that right there because Bilal. How did he know about it?
Right.
Okay.
I was just getting ready to say.
So we know Islam is old as Africa too.
Right. Bilal, not as old.
No, brother, it came with it. It's but you even said it.
Right.
Is it in the pyramids?
No.
Is there a lot in the pyramids?
No.
It's okay. I'm gonna come back and prove it to you. That
okay,
you can see
a lot. That's okay.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you.
But if it's in the pyramids, it's only in the pyramids because the so-called Arabs now in control of the landmass.
It just wasn't up there. See, that's what we got to come up out of the Islam. Let's stop with Arabs, though. I'm just telling you that. Okay, go ahead.
You're my brother.
Yeah, for sure.
Show me.
I got you.
Absolutely.
I got you.
Because Bilal taught Muhammad how to do the surah.
And
how to pray.
For facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't have no issue with that part because my sister is the one, and I went and bought the book and I read it. I'm like,
that's what I'm telling you.
Right. Okay. So like the other, if we want to talk about Islam in Senegal, they had a sheikh over there called Sheikh Amadou Bamba.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. They tried to kill him a bunch of different ways and couldn't kill him.
Facts.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
They tried to throw him out in the ocean. This is the French. They threw him out in the ocean, and he just give me my prayer rug, and he floated right there on his prayer rug in the ocean.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not doubting the power of the truth of who holy men are, and holy women are. What we're talking about is the co-option of the ideas. Yeah. Because if that's the case, then the propaganda is always to make a people that we don't want to be in charge to look bad. Yeah. I got people that I know that are Muslim too, and I love them.
Right.
Right. We clown and play around and joke around, but they my brothers, they my sisters. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and when we do talk about Islam, they say the way that they practice, not the way that it's practiced somewhere else.
But you know what it also tell you, it said in this I'm trying to quote, it said the knowledge was going to rise from the west upon the east. So why would the knowledge come from the west and it had to come back up on the east?
Oh, because sometimes we have to go back and teach them who they are.
You answered my question for me. Why they think they got Islam right?
You know what I'm saying? And the thing is right. No, right. Yeah. And I'm saying that it is because if you're going to talk about it being peace, then you got to be peace. Right. Now, if we want to go to geopolitical ideology, you got to understand too that
Yeah.
sometimes the pushback is we don't want your ideas here.
Facts.
Okay?
Facts.
We don't want your ideas here.
Facts.
So therefore, if we don't want your ideas here, then we're going to tell you either you just leave us alone.
Facts.
But if your capitalistic fake ideological that's not even a word. I was trying to make up a word. If your fake ideology is wrong,
Right.
and you want to tell me what to do,
Right.
I don't need you to tell me what we've been in existence way before you. So how in the
Facts.
world are you going to impose upon us what your idea is because you think your idea is better, but it's been nothing but destructive to people in the world.
That's all it's been.
Right? So when there's a pushback now is you're wrong. That's no different than saying that when Prophet Nat rose up against the oppressive system of the war on African people in this country, he was wrong. You want to say he was wrong. But yet you still have us in this bondage, and you're supposed to preach the same thing we do.
Facts.
So there's something wrong with the ideology.
Facts.
My whole thing is like we talked about before. If you're going to take it and be revolutionary, you got to look at all the figures that were revolutionary and go ahead on and say, hey, if I'm going to be revolutionary, we need to be revolutionary against a system that is causing war against our people.
Facts.
How is it that we still have poor school systems, poor this, poor that? You got to have a working poor to go to jail, and you're supposed to, so you can make money off of them, and you're supposed to be a Christian nation, and all you clowns is in church today? And where are y'all warring at? Where are you at war at? You're not at war with nothing and nobody. Nope. You sit over there being a sheep, and you ain't even being a black one.
Nope.
Yeah, so you're not at war with the system. You're in alignment with the system because it gives you something.
Facts.
And sorry for my passion of this Christ. That's the passion of this black one. You know, that's crazy. That is insane to me that we walk around here with this idea, and I know we're going to wrap it up in a few minutes.
Go ahead.
That we walk around here with this idea that we're supposed to be followers of the Christ, the perfect black one. Let's get it clear, family. Since y'all want to talk about it, it's KRST, the perfect black one. And it comes from Kimmy. That's the idea. So get that other mess out of here. It's Yeshua the Christ or Jesus the Christ. Not Jesus Christ. They took the out, and it still means the perfect black one. So they act like it. So there should be no poverty. There should be no lack. There should be nothing in here with all these people in they separate places in the world who separate each other. Oh, we're all human beings. No, we're the oldest group. Act like it. And we don't want to study nothing. We just want to believe and go back in our cubby hole and go over here and chase bunny rabbits and don't even understand the reason why and like to go eat egg-shaped candy and Easter egg hunts and all that other insanity, and we have no clue where it comes from.
Facts. And we wonder why we still got water not clean. We wonder why we asking for better housing.
And the church with $400 billion that it put up, if we were a real church group of church people, could end all of that. If it was talking about doing revolutionary things and not for self-aggrandizement, but for the people, because it's not for the people. Facts. And that's all across the country and all across the world.
Facts. No, you're right about that. Listen, you're right about that. That's why I like this talk today, because this is what it really was. It's terrible.
Man, we walk around here acting like I'm holier than thou. Holier than what?
Right.
You ain't holier than thou, and you ain't no better than nobody else.
And how much money did they make today for Easter?
Man, what? You talking
about the stores.
The stores? Oh, bro.
Clothes,
that's all it is, commercial.
Food.
Commercial stuff. You got Easter baskets and this and that and other, Easter egg hunts. And you don't even understand the reason why you're doing it. That's the level of ignorance that they continue to prey on. And ain't nobody talking about it but us this morning.
Facts. Here, yeah, facts. Right. But we can get mad. But we
I ain't mad. I'm passionate.
No. Not you being mad. I'm just saying. Yeah, I know you packed because I need 7 more shows like this.
Yeah, man. Shoot, don't say nothing. If we start getting paid, we on here every day.
Facts. Fact. No, because that's what I'm saying. But we participate in this craziness.
Yeah.
And you can come out and hear it's paganism. They still tell
you that it's pagan. They'll tell it. They'll say it. They'll say it. They'll mention it. They'll say it is a pagan. They'll say it is pagan idea. So is the Christmas tree.
That's in the book. Don't go decorate, cut a tree down, bring it in, put nothing shiny on the top. What they do with a Christmas
They
tree?
do it anyway. Why? Because you know what it represented to people that they couldn't get in the church. And the only reason why the Church of England adopted that idea is to get people from out of there because they wouldn't come in willingly and bring them into the church. You know the reason why they did it? The church provides food, it provides shelter, it provides heat. So it was also part of nature.
Fact.
I can use a tree or several trees to build my home. I can use the limbs to make a fire to keep me warm and heat my food. And if there's birds and other stuff that live in, they provide me food.
And that's crazy, man. That like today what it's finna be. And guess what? Them people gonna go home and still we're gonna be in this madness.
Yeah. Because the only time people want to be good to other people is Christmas and Easter.
I was looking at it this morning, brother Elliott. Not to cut you off, I was because I went to the gym, did my little cardio this morning.
Yeah.
But
I saw you up at 5
this
o'clock this morning.
Did you, man? When we were sitting down there, you know they was letting the people out the what's them centers, the home for the homeless.
Right.
You know how cold it was, man.
Man, it was cold this 4 o'clock this morning.
And what them people supposed to do, man?
Right. They don't care. Listen, they have to get up and get out of there at 6 o'clock in the morning, wander around all day till 6 o'clock in the evening, trying to look for jobs when they have no clue where to go find a job. Ain't nobody telling them where to go. Oh boy, don't talk about Jeremiah. That's my guy. Well, they're not getting any guidance about where to go to get a job or find a job. And they just have to wander around, figure out what they're going to eat unless they feed them. I don't know. And just be out in the cold. And that's even in the wintertime.
But why is we giving them money to fund these places?
They find a way to so-called help.
But putting a person out, man, it was cold this morning.
They don't care. It was colder in January.
Facts.
And it was super cold in February. But guess what they had to do? Get out at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's crazy. You don't got nothing. That's what my cousin was saying. He was like, man, why they ain't got nothing for no computers to help them? Why, you know what I'm saying? You got people wandering around 6 in the morning, man. It cold. That's cold. That's crazy work right there, Brother Elliott.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But like you say, but today, Easter. You didn't even let them sleep in on Easter.
Man, you didn't let them sleep in and you ain't going to make sure they have ham for dinner and none of the other stuff? Unless it's old ham. They might give.
Oh, yeah, you know the way they give stuff away.
Right.
I'm just saying you didn't do nothing, but you would come to they'd come to these organizations and ask for money. You know what I'm saying? Donate to us. We doing this.
Yeah, well, so City of Hope is run by the Catholic Church, right?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Is my brother's keeper, what was it run by?
Probably a Catholic church.
Some sort of church.
I bet you they in the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know they're going to say they love Jesus.
Right.
But putting you right out at 6 in the morning.
Right.
Luckily, we headed to spring to, summer
where
coming
it'll be
up.
warm enough where they can withstand the elements. And I see some people, they'll just try and see what they can get in order to be able to live through it without even going to these places because there ain't no help.
Yeah,
if you're really going to be a helpful place.
Man.
Free lamb for everyone today. You funny, bro. You funny. Yeah, put it over there by the line and see what happens.
Cold, but this is what they put us through.
Yeah, no, but because we are sheep, we're sheep, and we're not going to challenge the system to do anything any different. And we're okay with it. As long as we sit around there, man, I'm done with you, bro. As long as we sit around there, he is funny. As long as we sit around there and we never challenge anything and we never work at creating something different than what that is.
Facts.
And my whole thing is this. I get it, but during cold, you can't put them people out.
Like you said,
and give them something to do.
But this is a Christian night on Easter.
Man, they don't care. This ain't no Christian nation, man.
If
this was a Christian nation, they wouldn't have destroyed Native Americans and they wouldn't have enslaved African people. Facts. They did that under the name of Christ. Get out of here.
Facts.
Get out of here. They didn't care.
Facts.
It wasn't about that. It was about money and domination and replacing ideas that were
Facts.
Originally, from African people was something else because you weren't the superior group of people. You're a thief.
Yeah.
You're the greatest thief and greatest violence putters on the world. Hey man, we'll just kill you because you're not following what our precepts are. So if not, then we'll bomb you or we'll shoot you to death.
I mean, now what they like I hear a lot of people. It's been slavery, never like this in the annals of history, like how it was performed in the United States of America.
No, in the United States of
It was
America,
never.
it was about being perpetual, and
Yeah.
even the system, the so-called penal system, is perpetual slavery.
Facts.
It is not about creating equality in this place, and especially for people of African descent.
Facts.
Never. We'll sit around there. I don't care what the label is and what we call ourselves. It's not about creating anything equal.
Not. You ain't lying because they say it's supposed to be rehabilitation, right?
Hey man, they ain't rehabilitating. Now you can't make no money by making sure your prison's empty.
Because that's not in the money business.
No, it's economics.
Right.
There was two things that the chattel slave system here did was destroy the fact that people should be connected to their Africanity, number one.
Fact.
And number two, how much money I can make out of you. And the only reason why people got turned into what they got turned into is because when you start bringing African people over here in 1806 because of the 1804 uprising in Haiti, and now African people were very clear that we could fight back and we could win. You're definitely not going to sit around there and talk about how we're going to continue to import African people to make them slaves, and now they know how to fight and they can win.
Right.
So then what do? You grow a population you can control. So if you go from 6 million to almost 19 million people in 50 years, how do you control that population? You cut them off from their Africanness.
Facts.
You cut them off from their ideology.
Facts.
You change their ideology, and you tell them that you can only think these things because we can say so. Meanwhile, I'm not acting godly towards you or righteously towards you because I don't think of you nothing more than I don't even think of you as a piece of meat.
No, that's why I was telling you, brother. Go watch. When you go watch The Color Purple, the Minister Farrakhan broke it down. And what people don't understand, but it correlates to what's going on now when you can see men having babies and walk away. What you think when you was making the stud? What would you think you was doing when you was taking he come over here on the plantations? What you thought that was when sometimes they had some males was even impregnate their mamas.
And because they would blindfold them and not let them see who it was that they were. Right. So they did it. What did I tell you before? We are typically only 3 people as African people in this country. Mm-hmm. We are 3 people from dating or marrying somebody that we're related to. Because of the miscegenation that took place, not only with them forcing African people to help recreate another set of people, but also with white people sleeping with black people.
Yeah. You had the mixing.
Yeah.
The mixing, yeah.
Yeah, on purpose. And then because you didn't think none of it, but other than the fact that you lusted after a goddess. So let me say that one more time, sisters. Bump that queen stuff. You can keep a queen. I don't need no queen. I don't want no queen in my life. If you're not going to be a goddess, I don't want you. But that's what they lusted after. This ultimate idea of womanhood that they wanted to have more than anything else. They lusted after her. So therefore, if you still have statues of the Black Madonna and the Child in Russia and the Vatican and in many other places, you lusted after the idea of her being a goddess. But now all we got is B's and H's and bosses and all this other stuff because we've all been reduced down to our lower selves.
Sarah Barton, remember that name?
Yeah.
That's why I love Erykah Badu when she put on that what's her name?
Yeah, of course.
You know, I love when that's a talented sister because she conscious. She woke.
Yeah, she is. And unfortunately, they try to make her to be something else other than she is.
Yeah, because when you're not in the system, you know what I'm saying, how you think, they'll look at you and say you off the chain.
Of course, they do already. They've been saying that about me.
For real?
They've been saying that about me all my life, God.
Because you don't follow along
No,
with the madness of with
no.
this. Like when you telling people, it show you how crazy this is. It'll tell you in the Bible what not to eat, the forbidden this and that. What people go do, still eat it. You know why? Because my doctor gonna give me a pill to say I can eat this. When a lot of they messed us up so bad that it's hereditary now. Black people get high blood pressure. It shouldn't be hereditary, but what it is that we still take on the eating habits of our parents.
Part of the reason why we have high blood pressure and these other things is not just the eating habits, and that's one, and it's primary. But the other part about it, look at the duress that we live under every single
Facts.
moment of every single day in this country.
Facts.
And because we hate ourselves so much, we don't know whether it's going to come from within or without. So what are we sitting around here doing, watching everybody? You know how
Facts.
often it is I was in the farmer's market yesterday, and I walked by and spoke to a whole bunch of people. You know how many people didn't speak that look like me? When they look at me and they just turn their eyes,
Yeah.
they turn away. You never notice that?
Yeah.
The only time they're going to be straight is later on in the day where they're going to be so high that they ain't going to speak to everybody.
Facts. So I was gonna say you sure it ain't because you on 810. Sometimes,
Oh man, bro.
Because I done caught some looks.
But listen though, like I told your boy when he said, "Well, you said you talking with the enemy." I said, "I'm preaching. I have a message.
Right.
You in that situation ain't got nothing to do with me and you.
Facts.
So if you feel that way, then there's something wrong with you.
Facts. Cause I done had plenty of people come up to me, man. I like what you doing, and mention your show. Cause sometime I done had a lot of people from here to be in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I've been out farmers market,
Right?
Walmart, cause I'm always out.
You everywhere.
Man, they'll put, hey Mick, I'll be like, sometimes, man, I'll be don't want to
talk.
talk.
Know who they are.
No, and sometimes I won't say nothing in the store because it'd be like, one time I was behind one lady and she was like, I watch you every morning. I was like, huh? She said, you Mickey. I said, oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what's up.
And they was like, nah, I like what y'all do. Keep up the good work. I ran into Sarah's husband at the gas station. But this one I thought I was going to have to throw. Because you know how a person catch you slipping.
Right,
I had my head down. He was at the window. I was like, here we go. I was like, he was like, no, Mick, what's up? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Man, it been like, sometimes it be like that. I done had about 90% of the time people come tell me about all the shows I got on here.
That's what's up, bro.
They give y'all nothing but hella praise when I see y'all like,
man,
we like what y'all doing.
We're just trying to open people's eyes, man. And I'm not ever saying that whatever it is, you believe it. But go deeper into what it is that you believe. Believe it. That's fine. If that gets you through your day, if that helps you get through your hard times, I'm cool with that.
Facts.
I'm cool with that. But I'm never going to say my belief being an African person is superior to somebody else's because your walk is your walk.
Facts.
God gave us, each and every one of us, a walk. Where do we first run into each other at? Over at Scott School.
Scott School.
That's where we first run into each other.
Yeah,
and then sister
Audrey.
Yep, she said, "Come on, I want you to do a show." And from there, we've been brothers.
Oh, for sure.
If walking how you walk is going to get you through your day and night and get you to where you are, and at the end of the day, when God says time to come home and you good, I'm straight.
And I can agree with that.
And I'm not knocking nobody's stuff. I'm giving historical records. Go look it up.
Facts. That's why I tell them go watch Ashra Kwazwi.
Right.
I might be saying that now.
Ashra Kwazwi.
Hey, Ashra Kwazwi. Go check him out.
Yeah, check Dr. John Henry Clark.
Check him out.
Talk to him. Talk about him. Dr. Ben, check him out.
Check him out.
Amos Wilson, check them out.
Check him out.
You can see them on some of their stuff on YouTube, right? Arthur Schomburg, you're not gonna see his stuff on YouTube. Some of the stuff, other people, you ain't gonna see Booker T. Washington on YouTube. You're not gonna see W.E.B. Du Bois on YouTube, but you will find some other stuff. Go check them. Go check them out.
Thanks, Donnell Dumas, with the $1.99 super chat.
Yeah, we appreciate
Laura
that.
Beck, good morning. Laura Reck.
But go look at them, and then go read the books, and go read the other books. We put a book list out. I'm sure y'all can still get it. Get those books and read it.
I'm gonna start putting them in the chat. You know what? I'm gonna put the links to them books in the chat. Okay. But I will tell you, I go watch I'm gonna start putting the links to Sinetta TV up in here for y'all too, because he be having a lot of the scholars, and then they be having where they sell books online,
Right,
and you can get these books from what Brother Elliott telling you. Go get these books. Go
Yeah.
get what's my man name? Claude Anderson
Call
with
that Powernomics.
Powernomics.
Get the book.
Like,
Because this is what, time out. Let me pause real quick
go
and
ahead.
jump on that.
Handle that.
Claude Anderson says, if we had a community, we would be straight. We don't have a community. He's absolutely right. Because we don't have a bank. The only bank we got is the church, and that ain't no bank because they taking that money and doing something else with it. We don't have people that are willing to do barter and trade and sell stuff to each other. We don't have none of the things that are necessary to be a sustainable community like every other group. So that's the reason why it's going to be difficult to make it work. Mm-hmm. Right? It's going to be difficult to make it work.
Right. We need that. Thank you, Detroit boy, with the $1.99 super chat. Adrian,
with the peeps.
I needed this. This what Brother Elliott been want to come here. Deborah Luna with the $5 super chat. Thank you, beloved. Now, Brother Elliott, this what he been want to do.
But people get scared and want to be angry and want to talk about some other stuff. I'm not talking about doing anything from a book that's not that old.
Fact.
I'm talking about going back further than that, where the stuff was written on the walls. That right there is indisputable because it's still there. It's still there. Those things are indisputable. Good. Keep studying.
We got to. I'm gonna put him up on here for you though, because this what Brother Elliott was. This what I wanted him on the platform.
Yeah, I know.
For.
Well, I had to. Be,
I was responding to the people.
Yeah.
They saying, Adrian Nash, she said, this is a discussion that interests me. Thank you, fellas.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna keep on having discussions like this all the time because we have to become more knowledgeable. And what I'll do is from now on, I'll start putting presentations together. Mm-hmm. As best as I can. I'll start putting presentations together that'll show some of the things that I'm talking about, because not only do I we should all be studying. I'm going to say it again. I don't care if you're a Catholic. I don't care if you're Islam. I don't care if you're none of that. Understand where the origins come from.
Tell them.
Understand where the origins come from. And if it makes you feel some sort of way that the origins are African, well, that's the oldest group of people on the planet. Why would they not come from there first?
Sound like they got a personal problem.
That's personal. That's personal and cultural, because you can't acquiesce to the fact that this group of, even if you, listen, hold on, let me say this real quick. If you go to the church, go to Catholic church, and they tell you Santa Barbara, and the colors is red and white, that come from Africa.
Break their heart this morning, Brother Elliott, with the truth.
Okay, that come from Africa. Saint Norbert or Saint Peter, and it's green and black, that come from Africa too.
More truth.
Okay, so don't sit there and think that those saints that they're talking about are European saints. No, they're not. They're African. If you look at the colors, they'll show you. If you see one that's green and yellow, and I think they want to say that that's Saint Norbert, that's African.
Well, you did tell them you was gonna hurt their feelings this morning. They can go to church now.
No, you go on and get your worship on and understand, and go and get your Easter eggs.
Oh my goodness!
Absolutely, a black woman birthed the world. Absolutely, there's a book, When God Was a Woman. I think I have it on my bookshelf that they talk about that. And then of course they have to destroy the idea for the mere fact that you can't give credit to somebody that's in a position of being downtrodden now only because of the cycle of civilizations go down. And it's all of them. Every civilization is going to go through the cycle of birth, growth, and death.
Facts.
Everything does.
Right.
So why would you figure this civilization is supposed to, they'll destroy, and unfortunately, the colonizers will destroy everything they possibly can. Why do you think they talking about trying to go to Mars? They ain't trying to go to Mars talking about, we're going to go to Mars because we just want to explore stuff. No.
Conquer.
Right. Because they cannot live in balance with nature. Never could. Civilization of Barbarism by Dr. Shankarta Job says there's a two-cradle theory, which he's talking about 4, right? He's talking about the African people being the oldest ones, the Chinese people come next, the Europeans come after that, and the Native Americans come along the same time as the Orientals. But the two main groups that he's talking about is the Europeans and Africans. If we go from 3.8 to 1.2 million years, and then you look at Homo sapiens sapien on the continent of Africa from 1.2 million years to now, Homo sapiens sapien meaning upright man that look like us, and these other groups come 40,000, 50,000 years ago, you got 700,000 years, 800,000 years of development.
Facts.
Come on, man.
No, what Laura Rex said, you are her church today. May the congregation say amen. Amen.
And you know what amen means? They're talking about amen.
And they don't even know that.
Okay. So therefore, at the end of every prayer, when you say amen, you're talking to an African God.
Who?
Amen.
They didn't even know that.
No,
did they?
but now you know because it was connected to Amen Ra.
They didn't know that.
Well, now you do.
They didn't know that because
now you do.
That's what I'm saying. You said you was gonna give them a good Easter.
Man, well, happy Ishtar. Whatever you want to call it.
And they don't even know what that is. Ishtar. That's what I'm saying. It's so much paganism.
Right. It's all paganism. Right. It's all paganism.
Fact.
It's all because it was about getting the people that wouldn't willingly join the church to join the church in the Church of England. So the only thing that happened here in this country is the Church of England when the Protestants and the Methodists left because they protested what Henry VIII it might have been Edward, whichever one of them. When they protested, they came over here and brought the same ideas.
Yeah, because one of them, didn't he want to divorce his wife?
That was Henry VIII. Yes.
Yeah, remember? He said, okay, I'll start my own.
So then he killed her. Then what he do is he locked her up in a dungeon and killed her.
Yeah, I started my own.
In Berlin.
Right.
Because she wouldn't give him a son.
Oh yeah, some of them kings was and this
treacherous,
man.
Therefore, do you get the whole? So then, my fault, brother. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. So then you get the same ideology that comes over here,
Fact.
right? You get the same idea that comes over here. So then the parliament that's in England, you got this Congress is set up on the same idea. But where did they get that from? They got that from Greece and Rome. And where did they get it from? Aesop.
Fact.
So your Aesop fables is not about kids' tales. Aesop fables about telling you African ideology. They just use the symbolism of animals.
Facts.
The rabbit and the hare ain't no European. The rabbit and the hare talks about the rabbit and the turtle or whatever, the turtle and the hare, whatever it is.
Yeah, right. Turtle and the hare. Turtle and the hare.
Yeah. So the turtle and the hare is about something else. The grasshopper and the spider, or the grasshopper and the ant, whatever. All of those Aesop's fables, those children's fables that they say they are. No, he taught the philosophers, and when they found out that he was teaching them Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, teaching them ideology that changed the young people so that they would be revolutionary against the Greece government, they took his family, Aesop, and threw them over the sea, and they made Aristotle, Socrates, and Plato drink hemlock and poison themselves because they didn't want that to be taught. When y'all talk about going to England and Stonehenge, see, this is what gets me too. And I love the fact that people are going all over the world to look at stuff. But go look for the African stuff in the places that you go visit. Because it's there. It's there. I just saw this one video earlier today, and this brother met this Chinese person that was as dark as the back of these computers. And he was a Chinese man. Because they there.
Facts, but they hide them out.
Yeah, they're gonna hide all of that.
Yeah, they're gonna hide the African.
Okay, Henry VIII. Thank you very much. Henry VIII started the Church of England, and the Protestants and the Methodists were the ones that protested what he was talking about and how he was trying to operate the Church of England because he wanted to have more than one wife. Well, Martin Luther said, and he wrote 95 edicts against the church.
Right. And started the Lutheran church.
The Lutheran church, right?
Right.
So then when they all couldn't get what they needed to from the Church of England, they come over here because this is a colony of England. This is a colony of England. So they did the same thing. And so, okay, well, this is our colony. We're going to let all of the crazy people and the criminals out of prison and the prostitutes out of prison. And they
Right.
come over here on the boats in order to settle over here in the so-called New World.
This was really a death march.
Man, please.
When they sent him over, England opened up their jails.
Yes.
They was gonna keep England pure. Wasn't finna have none of it. Even I don't know how you was gonna keep something pure that was already wicked.
Man.
But they opened up their jails. Like, people don't understand what. That's why I don't be want to hear nothing about these presidents. I get them. You can say this, but go do the background check on George Washington.
Man, he had slaves as well.
But go. He was a.
There's words to say he was a felon.
Yeah, go back and go look at them. Go look at how the politics was. Like, people being strange, what's going on now. It always, back then, they would kill you. Let's go outside and have a duel.
Man.
Assassination attempts. They've been doing this. It's just that now it's so-called in 2025, you would have thought they would have came up out of that. But to me, in my humble opinion, they still using the Willie Lynch.
Absolutely. They're always going to be divide and conquer all the time. It's either that or I'm gonna destroy you. One of the two. That's their nature and that's their culture. The culture's never been to be and look, when they came over here in 1510 and started the first Jamestown and didn't survive, there were 211 people.
Mm-hmm.
There were 11 people left. And those 11 people survived by eating the people that died.
And they don't ever want to talk about
They just mentioned that a little few years ago, and how they found some bones that were gnawed on and broken, had the marrow out of it, and first settlement over there. And then when the Wampanoag was smart enough to help them out, they ended up destroying them.
Yeah, look how they did it. When people talk about biological warfare, what you thought giving smallpox?
Blankets with smallpox.
What you
on
thought
it.
that was?
Yeah, so you can destroy the native population and take their land.
That's not biological, though.
Man, please, we don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's the game that they act like so, but we can understand what happened with the Tuskegee experiment.
Right. From 1932 to 1974, you give people syphilis just to see what happens. And then we still want to be cool.
Facts.
Man,
we
crazy, bro.
Yeah.
We crazy. We got a level of insanity that we just really are not interested in understanding because of we want to continue to. I know we have to live in a world that is controlled by somebody else.
Facts.
But we're not desirous of controlling what we can control ourselves because they made sure that we don't trust each other.
Yeah.
They made sure we don't trust each other.
Facts.
Like I say this all the time. You are my brother. That's family.
Facts.
You're family.
Facts.
If you need, if I don't know that you don't need, it's only because you don't tell me.
Facts.
That's all. That's the only reason why I don't know that you need something is you don't tell me. And the only reason why you don't know if I don't need something is because I don't tell you.
Facts. But anytime I call, you answer that phone.
Man, what? I'm supposed to. I don't care if it's 2 a.m.
Fact. I say anytime I call, I say, hey, can we do this? No problem. So, with your word is your bond.
And it's supposed to be.
Facts.
It's supposed to be.
How do we get back to that with the rest of the
family?
family?
We have to start, man. They have to trust each. We have to trust each other. We have to, and we also have to teach people how to trust each other, right? So if you have a bad experience, I'm gonna say this again. We said it before. We have a bad experience at a restaurant. We go to a restaurant and it's black-owned restaurant. I don't want to use the word black, but it means all-encompassing. Mm-hmm. Black-owned restaurant, right? If I go in there and I don't like the treatment, I can say, hey, I don't like how you did such and such today. I'm going to keep coming back. If it happens a second time, I'm going to say it again. Now, this time I may say, hey, whoever the owner is, I need to talk to you. I don't know if this person's having a bad day. I'm not trying to get them to lose their job or none of the other stuff. But if they're having a bad day, then I need them to, do something, do better. Now, if this is how they operate, then I need somebody else to come and take care of me. And then that may mean that I'll take the time to talk to that person. Hey, bro or sis or what's going on where you're feeling this way.
Facts.
Oh, and it could be they having a hard time at home or whatever. Then how come it is that we can't say how can we help?
Facts.
See, when people feel isolated, then when we go through stuff, and then but the other part that we cannot do is, oh yeah, let me tell y'all, I went out there and hey man, that's Mick is my boy, but he going through some such a like little girl, like what the
I
heck
know what
we
you're
act like?
saying.
I was gonna say it.
I
I
know.
caught myself. I caught myself.
Yeah.
But that's how we act. And why should we act that way?
Facts.
Just like the stupid stuff here, and people argue at city council instead of acting like they have some decorum.
Facts.
Right? Even though I'm not trying to bring that into today's discussion.
I know what you're saying.
But like, why are you acting like children?
No,
Children
right.
argue like babies. So we've been reduced by this other dominant culture only in this country to acting like we're childlike.
Facts.
And we grown.
Facts.
Grown as hell, but we want to act like we childlike because what we want to do is we want to argue a point without no fact and no basis. I want to argue in my emotion, not in fact. Everything that I talked about today, I can prove.
I bet you can.
Everything I talked about today, I have documentation from my teachers. I can prove it, and I don't care where nobody else come from. I'm say it again. Until you can show me and documentation and then double cross it and triple cross it, you can't tell me one book and then you believe it. No, I got several books talking about the same thing that I'm talking about from 5 or 6 different authors that corroborate what I'm saying. So if somebody can tell me whatever they want to tell me, that's fine, cool. That's one book. You can't tell me one book supersedes 30.
Right.
Saying something different.
No, because they tell you knowledge is power. So how could you're going to need plenty of books.
Right, and I didn't even bring the Arsenal in today.
I know.
I didn't feel like
you usually
carrying
have your case.
I didn't feel like bringing the howitzer in. So,
yeah.
But it's here.
Yeah.
It's here too.
That's why I will be putting the links when we go do this, because we're going to give you the stuff. We'll be able to put it up, and we're going to put the links in here for people, because that's what they really need. I think if we did, what you said, I'll say this, because Winterton said this 100 times. She's like, we got to be more, get out of our childish like ways.
Yeah, that's it. And it's all across the board. It's men and women.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to teach your child how to be a man or a woman in the world if you act like a child?
And then how you think the young was supposed to look at us when they seeing
because
people
you
in their
acting
40s,
that way, so
50s.
what am I going to turn around there and act the same way because you act childish about stuff?
Yeah, we 40, 50, 60, 70. They says arguing,
right,
doing this, trying to air each other out, and we posted. They looking at us like,
oh, I'm supposed to follow this example, and most of the time they do.
Yeah,
most of the time they do. Like, I can't imagine being a teacher where I have a parent come into my room and you want to act a fool about your child.
Facts.
We ain't having that discussion ever. That's gonna be the first time and the last time. Because one of us is gonna be without a job and the other one's gonna be in the hospital somewhere.
Facts.
And be straight, because I'm gonna have to look for another job.
Facts.
No, I ain't taking that mess. That's not happening. Because we shouldn't be on that childish level if we're trying to do the best. Now, if you sit around there and say, well, you look like you picking on my child. Yeah, I want your child to do better. So I am gonna pick on your child.
But I hate when parents do that. When it's not. Let me clear that. Some cases you can.
There we go.
Some cases.
Look at your library, bro. Look what I got. I got bricks and you got books.
Oh man, because I got you. I got you.
My girl better come up with my theme music. I ain't playing with her.
We working on it. Believe me, we working. That's what I was doing yesterday.
Oh, I don't care nothing about them talking about we taking we paying homage to y'all. Not
Facts.
We ain't trying to take no credit for this music. And I'll tell them all the time. We got PE music and we got X-Clan music. This is homage to y'all. So that's all I'm saying. So they can talk about soon. Well, we trying to bring y'all back in the limelight because y'all talked about real stuff.
Tell them.
We ain't talking about this mumble rap and all this insanity. We all here, cats out here talking trash and they never lived that life. But anyway, back to what you're saying.
Yeah, no, you telling the truth because they dumb. But we've been dumbed down, man. I remember it was a time, they wouldn't show certain stuff on TV. Far as they wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Now they show anything.
On regular television.
Yeah, cuss words. It was a time. Now you can hear fuck on there, ass on there, shit on there. It's like, wow.
Yep. Yeah. Because if you're a decadent, low level, everything is childish about me group of people that's in charge of things, what do?
Yeah.
You want to continue to keep not only what you're doing low level, but anybody that observes and absorbs the
Mm-hmm.
information that you're putting out there or whatever your shows are, you want to keep them at a low level too. So
Mm-hmm.
why do you think that it is that we're talking about the uh, basketball wives and all of that foolery,
So
tomfoolery,
there's
and you put
facts.
that on shows and on channels only black people watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you show this stuff, and people don't see that as entertainment, but yet we turn around and think that we're supposed to act the same way. Or
Crazy.
even with some of these now relationship shows, pop the balloon and this, and you hear people dogging people out instead
Crazy.
of just saying, you know what, I ain't like how, y'all ain't my physical type.
And when did we want to start showing all of this?
Because it's easier, because it's for views and likes.
Crazy.
I want people to like me. I don't want people, don't like me. You ain't got to like me, just listen.
Facts.
I don't care whether you like me, and I don't care whether you like the fact that I look this way. I don't care if you like the fact that I don't have no hair on my head. I got all of this up here that a lot of y'all ain't got.
And that's what counts.
And if you need me and I'm available and I have it, I got you. All I say in return is do it for somebody else who needs it.
That's what's crazy.
Because we're not acting like humans, HUEMAN,
Right.
original people. We're
Right.
not acting like the original people. We're acting like something less than.
Slaves. A nigga.
Yeah. So if we're acting like people who have been prisoners of war, because this all this is,
Yeah.
right? If we're acting like people that are prisoners of war, if we're acting like people that are okay with being experimented on, okay with one of the sisters, I think it was Sister Taliba, pointed out the fact that this doctor on a plantation hacked up women to learn how anesthesia worked.
Facts.
And in the book Medical Apartheid, they showed different experiments that they did to African people, and they wondered the reason why we don't go to the hospital or the doctor. Well, you can go to the hospital or doctor, but you better know all of the stuff is that you might have going on wrong with you and how
Yeah.
much of it you can correct before you go there.
But look how they do you with pain. They will, and don't get me wrong, I understand the pain, the pill game, I understand what's out here. But they would tell blacks, no, we can't give you this. But you white, you can go in there and get this pain pill. It's like how they gonna tell you
But what do we expect though?
facts.
What do we expect? Why are we expecting to be treated equal in a country they
Facts.
never treat us equal?
Facts.
How?
Facts.
Why? So then, and we've lost because of integration. We've lost the fact that we had the local pharmacists who would give you something, and the only thing you might have to do for them is cook a dinner. We've lost that because we want to be like some other people.
Their ice was colder than ours.
Man, what? And all ice freeze at 32 degrees
Facts.
or 0 degrees Celsius.
Right.
Okay, it all freezes there. Water freezes out at that point.
Right.
So then, why is your ice different? And if you need to, instead of getting them old back in the day silver aluminum ice cube trays with the slide tray that you had to pop them out that way,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
then you can go get their own plastic ones.
But it just show you how we be so wrapped up, like we not seeing what's going on. It's like we not seeing what's going on, man. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely because we refuse to look at it. Because if we're caught into our own day-to-day survival,
Facts.
instead of saying if we're working as a community, now we can rest, we can breathe, we can we can sit around here and now we can, oh man, I can breathe. I ain't got to worry about nothing. And we all cook together and everybody's eating and all of this other stuff and the bills are paid and the house is straight and all this other stuff and the kids are good and everything else. They can do that.
It just show you how crazy this is. They threw a party, right? And then I know my cousin probably don't want me to speak on it, but his house got shot up Friday. Wasn't even for his house. They were shooting at somebody else. Hit his house and hit his cars.
Okay, but you know why? That's self-hatred.
Yeah.
Okay, so the external hate has been internalized, and so now the people that are exhibiting these behaviors are young people. It's like right now, all of these new so-called gangs is up coming around here, and they doing What are they doing? Over what? Oh, such and such is my boy. So now we form a gang around him instead of saying he was. If that kid was dumb, he was just dumb.
Yeah, crazy. It was
Okay, so then what in the heck you forming a gang and this kid's
crazy.
name for? Because
Facts.
that kid wasn't. I can understand you forming a gang and this kid was a nuclear scientist, and
Right.
y'all want to continue to do his research and conduct his research so that
Right.
you honor him that way, but you honor him in destructive ways. And where the hell are the grown people?
Man, that's what my cousin was saying because it was a party through. Like he said, that had even had nothing to do with them. They been having, you know what I'm saying? But like he said, come through your living room window, he find them. Like he said, he didn't even know it. Show you how crazy. I mean, how rough it was. He said he slept through it. He didn't know. He said, you know, how you might hear a little ding ding. He said
Right.
he thought it was nothing. He was like, you know, because it was rain, it was
Right.
the wind. He was like,
Right.
oh, it ain't nothing. He said he get out, go get his mail. Say he just happened to look living
There's a
room
bunch-
window. Said, wow.
bunch
Then
of
he go
holes in his
in,
house.
2 bullets, and he's like he had a flat tire on his truck. Say take the tire off, take it up there to the place. What they pull out of it?
A shell.
Yep, 2 shit. He was like, man, he's like, damn, they hit the. He said that's when he went back and looked. Oh, like damn, they hit the car. Yeah, he was like, dude, down the street. He's like, what if I'd have just been sitting in the living room? That he's
Right.
like, you know, they just happened to be in bed early. He was like, dude,
And see, that's the insanity, right?
yeah,
I wrote a piece, and I'm gonna have to find it and pull it up, called "Homicidal Suicide," and that's exactly what this is. It's homicidal suicide. Okay, homicidal suicide. For what? What? And what are we gaining out of the losing our young people?
nothing.
Right? And our young people are willing to lose their life and risk their life over what? Number one, they can't fight. That's number one. Number two, what's the point of I'm just going out and I'm shooting up this and shooting up that, and for what? For what? What's your reason? I understand protecting. I get about protecting home. I get that. But you're not home. So you're riding in a car somewhere and you just decide, or on a bike or whatever you own, and you decide to shoot up somebody's place that had absolutely nothing to do with you. Now, if you're supposed to be grown and these young people think that they men and women or whatever, if you think that you're grown, then why not come and talk to somebody? And if you really, really want to get down, then y'all have a fight. And if I lose, it's over with.
Yeah. But pulling guns out, that's how innocent people get hit.
Innocent being, then what? So now,
Yeah.
if you can innocently shoot up, it's not just Flint, baby. It's everywhere. All right? It's not just Flint.
Yeah, the whole what's the name? Because this wasn't in Flint. This was in. I don't. I don't want to say the location, but this wasn't in Flint. This was in the good part. I'm gonna just tell y'all.
See?
This was not in Flint. This was in a good area.
Right.
You know, on Grand Blanc.
Mhm. See?
I'll tell you, this happened in Grand Blanc because they said they've been having they parents went out of town, the kids got to throw. It was allegedly, you know that the kids were like, they was on Facebook, we gonna meet up at a party. You had 2 rival gangs meet up.
And what are you ganging for?
Facts.
You're not ganging to make the community better. You're ganging to destroy the whatever the elements of the community are. So what is your reason to be a gang?
Right. Crazy.
And most of the time it's because of some other young person got into another young person and they end up losing their life, but you really don't have a real reason to be a gang. Be a gang that study.
Right.
Be a gang that protect your community. And then if something happens, right? And somebody's hurting your family or whatever, you have every right to go do what you need to do.
But that go ahead.
But just to go and I'm gonna be a gang and we're gonna be a gang and you have no real reason why you're being a gang.
Facts.
You have no real reason.
They don't do their study, brother. You know
No, they
why
don't
the gang,
study that. They just, once again, being childlike
Yeah.
and doing things based on emotion. Oh, that was my boy, and he could. What did your boy do? If your boy went and tried to rob somebody and they got the draw on him, that's on him.
Yeah, you can't be. And what people don't know, gangs was started. Let me clear this again.
Go ahead on.
Gangs was started because people were protecting their
They
neighborhoods.
were protecting their community.
Right. They could not go out. This was during the time when if you got caught in the white area, that's why they had these gangs. Because the people want to think, no, California, them brothers it was sundown towns.
Yep. Flint was a sundown town.
And-
But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, people, but that's what I'm saying. Gangs got, even with Chicago now, they got corrupted by who always corrupt something.
But here now, the other gangs that started that they wrote stories and movies and books about was the Europeans, the Al Capones and all of them other
Yeah.
stuff, who came in there and was trying to create an element, right? An element
Fact.
of decadence and low level negativity with drugs and alcohol and prostitution and things like that.
Yeah.
That the FBI was supposed to be going to war against. And then unfortunately, when we saw an opportunity to take part of that activity, we did. But and part of the reason why we did so is because they kept us out of jobs, especially black men.
Mm-hmm. Some uncle told me this. He said back in the day, you know, most of your construction workers, what color they were? Black.
Yeah,
But go look at them now.
right. Yeah, they're black and Native American.
We was the ones doing the work.
Right, yeah.
And what happened now? Can't even get a job.
Can't get a job. You have to go through all kind of paperwork and all kind of other stuff in order to be a union and this and that and other. You got to do everything else in order to get a job in construction.
Yeah.
And then they only let you sit there. Like, what did I talk? Was it you all I talked about? That when they dug a hole in my yard.
Yeah.
So it was on this show, right? Or the bump, morning bump. Yeah. So you got the only person sitting there holding a sign to tell traffic to stop and go was a young black man, a young black woman. I know we'll wrap it up in a few minutes.
Yeah, no problem.
Already, I hope that Easter ham ain't on over there.
You know what? They had me. It is. They had me queuing the other day, man.
So okay.
You know, I don't do no pork.
But now that's the reason why I'm starting laughing before I could get it out.
Pork.
Because I was like, he got a ham on over there, and he ain't even said to come and get a piece. But anyway, but they had this young black man or young black woman sitting there holding the sign that says slowing and stopping traffic. Meanwhile, the digger, the person with the my nephew knows what they're called. He was making big money, and the person had to go down in the hole to make sure that the pipe was copper. Even after I told them that they were copper, and I told them they didn't have to dig. Oh, this part of our job. We got to do it. The person holding that sign didn't make no money. The person that was doing the tractor with the earth mover, the scoop or whatever they call that, they made money. And the person jumping down in the hole, making sure the pipe was copper, made money. So if they're keeping us away from having a lifestyle, why not be able to take your skills and go somewhere else?
You would think you could.
All you got to do is get a passport.
Yeah. You're right about that.
If I wanted to go teach in Africa, bro, they'll give me everything.
I believe, right. I could believe that.
Everything. You need a home. Brother, we're going to give you a home. You have compound. You have this, that. You have everything. Come on, man. Okay, thank you, baby. It's called Operators. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, good morning, Deborah Luna.
Yeah.
That's rough, though, brother. I'm just saying. But these are the conversations, because I remember it was the time you couldn't go past Hamilton.
Man, you couldn't go past St. John's.
Man, I wish I could have got my uncle when he was telling me some of these stories. Man, he was like, when he used to be telling me, I wasn't looking at it like, because I remember this when it just passed this earlier this year. We buried him the day after my birthday. I remember he told me, he said, Neff, I ain't gonna be. He said, I can't believe how we lost this city.
We lost it.
He said
Politics.
He said, but he said
Politics.
it was us being, but he said it was a time that I can understand, like, I'm going to say the real OGs that seeing what's going on, seeing the dysfunction on how this thing got to this way.
Yeah.
Well, we have nothing and about to be on our way out.
Yeah. Right.
Sad.
Right. Well, because sometimes it's really, I think, in politics, It's about how to. If you're playing the game, you got to do it for the benefit of the people. But if you're not, right, then you're useless. Now let me book a revelation. See, this is the homicidal suicide that I'm talking about. This is the internalized hatred that I'm talking about, where I hate myself enough that somebody that looks like me, I hate them too. So therefore, they wanted to do something to you in your car for no reason other than they decided that they could do that and they had the power to do it. Okay. Now, we don't live in a lost world. The world is just fine. It's people that ain't shit.
Facts.
Okay. And I won't say the complete word, but y'all get the gist of what I was saying.
I'm following you.
Okay. It's people. It's people. People are horrible.
Facts.
People are horrible because either they're put in a position to have to do some things that they don't want to do, or they take medication that ain't really medication, so they don't feel some sort of way. They're not able to get certain things, so they're dissatisfied. And they can't find any happiness within themselves because everything that they're happy, that makes them happy is on the outside. So therefore, I internalize my position, my hatred and my position, right? I hate my position. I hate what I'm having to do. I hate, what I've become because I had dreams and aspirations of doing something else. And but I never had a community around me that supported my dreams and aspirations. I never had a group of people around me that supported my dreams and aspirations. So I became this other thing. And I've seen many, many stories like that. As an educator, I've seen many, many stories like that. And it's not that we don't have programs around here, but what the influence is people are influenced by other things. Well, I'm going to get a Louis bag and I'm going to get this and I want that. And what?
And China just exposed that. Right. It's all the same.
Yeah.
The cheap one to the rich. I mean, to the expensive.
Yeah, because it's all ain't nothing on it. It's all cheap in the first place.
Facts. And let them come right here and charge you 150% more than what it was.
$13,000 for a so-called Birkin bag, and you all are dumb enough to do that? You want to go to somebody's concert and it's $5,000? I'm not going to see I wouldn't even see me for $5,000.
Man, listen, I didn't want to knock the little chick that's getting $6,000 to show up to do a dance. I'm not knocking her. But if the people pay, now you see the stuff.
If the people pay you, baby, go take it.
Go get your money.
Go get your money. I ain't mad. But I'm talking about if I had to look at, I'm going to go to a concert and I wanted to go see such and such, and it's how much? Yeah, we're going to take all of our savings and go see. No, I'm not doing that. You're not worth it.
Facts.
You're not worth it.
No, you know what? I would not go pay for nothing like that. I'm going to be honest with you. I would not. To go get woke up, to listen to great speakers, yeah. But
I'm not paying that type of money to go see them either.
Right.
Because most of those persons, bro.
Yeah. I ain't going to.
You already know.
I ain't finna.
You already know. Most of those people don't. If you read, you know.
Right.
Like when we had a speaker that came here and I found out how much they paid for him to come. And I was like, man, you could have got the same thing or better from me for about $5.
I know.
But because he got a name.
I know you was ready to snap.
Man, it was well, you going to stay and watch him for what? What am I going to stay and watch him for? Number one, he 3 hours late. That's number one. You 3 hours late. I apologize to you for being 2 minutes late.
Oh, yeah.
Or 5 minutes late, however late I was.
Don't matter, bro. You on time.
No, right? But I still apologize to you for being late because I'm going to be here on time.
Facts.
For whatever reason, God has been waking me up early. My sleep pattern is off for whatever reason. I got an idea what it is, but I apologize to you for being late. But 3 hours? You are not that important to waste 3 hours of my time to pay you that type of money.
Ooh, 3 hours and I paid you top dollar?
Top.
Oh, no way.
with 5 figures,
No way.
and not a low 5 figures.
I
The
know.
last person I went to see was at a college, and there was Dr. Kwanzaa Kunjufu.
Mm.
And he told me and the crew of brothers that came with me, y'all sit in the back. This ain't for y'all. Gave me a book. He didn't even make me pay. You hear what I'm saying now?
I'm
And I'm
listening.
not patting myself on the back. He was like, no, y'all go back and sit in the back. This ain't for y'all. This is for somebody that ain't never heard what I'm talking about before. And he gave me a book that he signed. And when I saw how much he was from a college.
Mm.
Okay. He did an hour and was out. He was on time. He left on time. 2 hours. 2 hours. He did 2 hours. But he told me and a few other people, this ain't for y'all. Because we didn't seen him before. I don't know him personally where I can pick up the phone and call him, but whenever we see each other, we recognize each other. It's like, this ain't for you. This what I'm talking about today ain't for you. So y'all need you to go on and go and sit in the back. You can leave and here's my book. And when I saw the check, hey, if you charging those type of fees, no problem. He was on, got off, and then took off. But he wasn't 3 hours late. See, if I'm gonna be 3 hours late, if you're gonna be 3 hours late as a speaker, that you're trying to give information to people that may not know, and this is only the reason why these people are. See, when we had scholars and knowledgeable people back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you didn't have Dr. Clark and them coming out talking about charging $10,000. You didn't have Asa Raquazi talking about charging $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 because you knew that we would study. We would come in and Jacob Crothers and Asa Hilliard, who started ASCAN, right? The Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations, right? They didn't charge that, man. We just started this organization. You think they charging $25,000, $30,000 to come here and speak? No, because guess what? We studied, and so we studied what they were studying. And so it was a lecture, like the book that I brought in called Intellectual Warfare.
Right.
That's a series of lectures that he put together. And that's how he started ASCAC, right? With him and a group of other scholars who want us to go back and fetch, do what Sankofa says, which is an Akan word that says go back and fetch who you are. Go back to where you come from. Even chapter 3 in the Theology of Time by Elijah Muhammad talks about going back to your origins and who you are.
Facts.
Right? So, there's another book for y'all to get. So now, if we're going to, like, I'm going to say this again. I don't care. Liberation is the ultimate goal.
Sure,
Malcolm
yeah.
said, your ism means nothing. Because it don't matter what I claim myself to be while I'm here on the earth. I was born black, and when God says it's time to come home, I'm going to be black. It ain't going to matter that you're a Pan-Africanist. That's not going to be, who going to remember that? They want to know whether Brother Elliott and Brother Mick were good people and how you treated people.
Facts.
And some people are so sick that they don't understand what good treatment is, and they don't know how to give good treatment. And at the end of the day, if you're going to any of these institutions, it's about being good people.
Facts.
Outside of the rhetoric.
Facts.
Outside the dogma.
Facts.
Because what are you doing outside of that that's going to enhance humanity?
Got a point.
That's it.
That's it. We out.
We out.
We out. See y'all next week, family.
All right, fam.